Welcome to episode 6 of the Luxury Travel Marketer podcast. I'm David, your host, owner and founder of Jadewolf Marketing, and today we're going to talk about luxury marketing strategies and why they're necessary, why do you need them, why shouldn't you skip them, and why they're like the key to succeeding online with attracting high net worth individuals. So in my experience as a consultant before and now as an agency owner with Jadewolf, I often encounter a situation where clients are kind of like eager to skip straight to the work. They just want to start the work. They want to start the activities, the campaigns, create content and all those things. And they don't really want to invest a lot into strategy or don't want to take the time to kind of map things out. And that is usually a sign with prospects, clients that are more on the SMB stage, small, medium-sized businesses. You will never hear that from larger companies, multinationals, enterprise companies, because they know that without a solid strategy for each campaign, there won't be much return or there won't be much success. So, but why? I mean, why do small business owners and marketers in small organizations ask those questions? Well, obviously they want to save costs. They want to, save time. And they think strategy, it's easy, it's marketing, right? So we just run Facebook ads or we run Google ads or, we put up a newsletter subscription box on a website and that should be it, right? Or we have a nice website and that's our marketing strategy. So sometimes people can be a little bit naive in that sense. And what I usually tell people is, okay, would you build a house and, skip the foundation? Would you build a house on sand? Would you pay a lot of money for a construction company to build you like a three stories house, but for the foundation you would just use sand or not even concrete? Is that something smart? And that's the same thing with luxury marketing strategies or strategy projects before you go on into a campaign or building a framework and testing things. So that is out of the way. So what we at Jadewolf usually include in our strategy projects, for us, the strategy project is something that usually comes as a natural follow-up to a discovery session. We used to do free audits in the past, but we realized that, a lot of people were abusing that service in the sense that they really liked the recommendations that we made, but they wouldn't really be willing to follow through or commit to a strategy or a test campaign, because then other things would come up and they wouldn't pay much attention to it. So we changed the whole approach, and now we're doing discovery sessions which are more in-depth and longer, and we charge a fee for it, which weeds out the people who are not really serious about working with us in the first place. And the follow-up from a discovery session, once we identify the pain points, the goals that our clients have, is a strategy project. Because once you have a general idea about what you need to fix, what you need to add, what the client wants to achieve with digital marketing, you need to develop an exact picture, a step-by-step blueprint to continue your efforts and move towards achieving those goals. And that's where the strategy project comes in. So we usually include multiple things in a strategy project package, and I'm just going to go through them step by step, tell you guys what it is, what makes sense in my opinion, what you should definitely have. And again, if you're making your own luxury marketing strategy, you can take it as a blueprint. You can obviously add things, you can take away things and make it your own. But this is, I think, a solid outline for what every strategy project in luxury travel marketing should have. So first of all, there's the KPI calculation, right? What do I mean with KPI calculations? Lots of people who come from the traditional world of marketing, the analog world of print, out-of-home advertising, billboards, radio, TV, trade shows, things of that nature, and not necessarily from the digital world, all that direct marketing, growth marketing math will be kind of strange to them, but it's really necessary, right? So if you're building funnels, if you're building growth frameworks, if you're doing digital marketing, if you're buying paid advertising, paid media online, you need to do those calculations. It is crucial. I cannot emphasize that enough. Without those calculations, you won't even know if your campaigns perform well, okay, great, or they're completely failing and you're actually losing money while running ads. So in those KPI calculations, key performance indicator calculations, things that you have to usually like map out are each individual step of the funnel that you want to build, right? That can start with like the cost per click. An affluent prospect clicks on your ad, how much are you willing to pay for that? Then the cost per lead or the cost per opt-in. If somebody arrives on your homepage, your landing page, or downloads your app, like how much are you willing to pay for that? And what is the likelihood of a lead converting with your sales team or your follow-up strategies into an opportunity, into a sale, to a booking, right? You need to calculate those percentages. Then overall, what is your cost per acquisition? So if you factor in like your cost per click, your cost per lead or cost per opt-in, and your percentage of closing those leads, what is your overall cost per acquisition? How much can you pay in terms of marketing, in terms of like time for your sales team to convert a single visitor, a new person that never heard your business, into a customer, into a client for your luxury travel company, right? And for some businesses in luxury travel, for aviation, charters, yacht charters, or that timeline might be longer and the cost there might be higher than, for example, just a luxury travel agent who's a solo entrepreneur and just selling packages, right, in high season. So that might differ from like business model to business model, and you have to factor that in. And obviously, if you're a larger company, you can start, thinking in return on advertising spend. As long as you're getting a certain percentage of your monthly media budget back, you can keep your ads running and scale them up indefinitely and outspend your competitors, dominate the market in a certain segment. If brand awareness is important for you, then obviously, thinking about cost per mile, CPM, how many impressions can you buy on the mainstream social media networks, on niche media specific to your vertical, that, for example, like private aviation, business magazines online, or associations and things of that nature. So making those calculations, mapping out the funnel, is even in the general terms, knowing what your customer lifetime value is. Like once you convert a person to a client or a customer, how much business will that person do with you on average? How good is your follow-up, your retention strategies? All that stuff will influence how much money you should spend on the media budget for a test campaign, for a new channel, for creating new content, because you will know exactly, okay, if this works, I'll make that much money back. And my overall return on investment, which is also something you can then calculate at the end, will be positive, break even, or like negative in the beginning maybe, but after like half a year, it will then turn positive. So those are those calculations. Smart marketers do those calculations. We do those calculations together with our clients, and you should do too, because if you're not, you're pretty much just, blowing money into the wind and hoping that everything is going to work out. The next thing is, like I mentioned before, a step-by-step action plan. That means mapping out the funnel. That means, in a nutshell, like what kind of traffic sources will you have? What kind of content do you have? What does your online presence, your homepage, your app, your booking forms, your landing pages look like? Do you have rich media on it? What is your copywriting like? Does it fit the luxury branding criteria of your niche, of your vertical? What kind of email strategy do you have? What kind of sales follow-up strategies do you have? Are you involving social media? Do you have a community? Are you working on building a community? Is there some ways to combine things and enhance it? So this is a step-by-step action plan for building a new funnel. Then next, once you have the basic math, you have the basic structure of the funnel, then SMART goals, right? SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Meaning you will have goals attached to this test, in our case, a test campaign that runs 3 to 4 months. That how much traffic do you want to get? How much do you want to pay for it at max? How do you measure it? What are the achievements that you can do in terms of opt-ins, in terms of leads generated, in terms of closing, in terms of deal value? And is it realistic? What can you do with that kind of budget in 2-3 months? And timely, when do you need to hit certain milestones to achieve those goals? If you have all those dimensions, then your goals will be much smarter, much more realistic than, we want to make more money, or we want to get more conversions, or we want to get more leads, right? That alone is not necessarily a smart goal. Then you have to pretty much do 3 basic things: your KPI calculations, your basic funnel, your SMART goals attached to it. Then you can start looking into, how do you make those things effective? What is the strategic intelligence that you can include in your project? in your strategy project, in your strategy presentation, to make things a little bit more realistic and make sure that you're not overlooking things. First of all, you can do a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, which pretty much is a grid analysis where you're putting your company into into the market and looking what other kind of people are out there. Obviously, luxury brands never want to compare themselves; they always want to be unique, and this would be very confidential. But you can probably make some comparisons here and there, and at least look where you are in terms of pricing and where you are in terms of maybe reputation, luxury pricing power, and your service quality. You can make SWOT analysis for multiple aspects of your business, and you probably should, because then you will have a better picture of where are some things that people in the market might attack you, or where you might struggle if you run into certain situations. It's a useful tool to include in every strategy. Then the next thing is market segment research, right, which goes a little bit into the SWOT analysis as well. For example, if you're a new private aviation charter company, right, and you want to develop your business in East Asia, then you might want to look at, okay, what are some East Asian companies that are already in the market active? What are some trade shows which are there? What are some magazines, media outlets that cover it? What are some buying habits for high net worth individuals in Asia? Is it more corporate travelers? Is it more families, wealthy families? Is it maybe millennials or Gen X people, Gen Z people who just want to travel for leisure? All those things can be taken into account, and you can really go down deep into an intercultural level. If for example, if it's specifically for China, you can make sure that you include things like, okay, what kind of colors do they like? What kind of numbers? Because Asian people can be very specific about those feng shui things. So you can include that as well. Is there any religious beliefs that you need to respect when you're selling to people or talking about certain things? You can develop that even into a brief for your sales team or your customer reps. So market segment research can go as deep as you want to, but it should include some basic things, like I mentioned. Then the next step from that is luxury buyer personas, right? I talked in the previous episode about it, so I'm not going to go into depth in it here. It pretty much boils down to, demographics, psychographics, geographical data, income, big life events, things of that nature, media habits, technology habits, and so on and so forth. Having a couple of strong avatars and really knowing who your customers are that you're trying to reach and you're trying to talk to is really important. Then another thing we obviously include, because content marketing is usually part of our funnels that we build for our clients, are content briefs, right? So if you're working with creatives, if we're working with our freelancers or people from our team, and we're building landing pages or using partners to maybe do video shots on the side of the client on location, or you want to produce an editorial, or you want to write copy for emails, create templates, so on and so forth, you won't need to have briefs, right? You need to have briefs that are based on your personas, based on your market segment research, based on your SMART goals. That's why you need to do those things before. And then you need to align the brand that your company already has with maybe the kind of brand that it wants to be, or with the skills and capabilities of the creative person sitting there. Because the worst briefs are just two lines okay, make it extravagant, or make it luxurious, or make it outstanding or stunning. Those briefs are useless. Nobody needs those briefs. We at Jadewolf use templates with certain questions that we ask, that we fill out with our clients, that we go through, so the briefs are solid and the creative people in our team can go to work and really have something substantial to work with. Then the next thing would be technology recommendations, right? SaaS tools, software. What kind of things do you need to set up on your backend, on your homepage, to have a funnel, right? What do you want to use? A landing page tool? Do you want to use plugins? Do you have a WordPress-based site or some custom coded thing? How flexible is your theme with adding new things? What kind of email tool, what kind of ESP do you have? Do you have a CRM that needs to be hooked up so the leads land directly in front of the sales team and they can follow up with it? What kind of data do you want to collect? Is there any analytics tools that can help you measure the funnel better than just Google Analytics, which is the bare bone basics, let's just say it like that? Is there remarketing that needs to be set up, pixels, etc.? Social media planning tools. There's a lot of things that you can use to make funnels more convenient, more effective, and involve technology in the mix. And obviously, like also the price dimension, right? If you're an enterprise company, getting SaaS tools and technology set up will be more expensive than you're just an SMB and you just need the basic plan. And we include that in our strategy packages as well. Then media recommendations. Here, obviously, we're talking already a little bit about, what kind of potential traffic channels you could use, and maybe what other media are out there, right? Maybe you want to settle in the beginning for a test campaign on, let's say, really standard and like Google ads or Facebook ads, Instagram, or some specific, two free big magazines or an association that has a big email list. Maybe you want to settle for something like that, but maybe it makes also sense often to include what is out there, right? If you want to grow, if you want to expand into other luxury affluent markets, that have a lot of high net worth individuals that, for example, want to book yacht charters. Maybe it makes sense, like if you're a company, a charter in Greece, that you want to look at, like, is there specific media that we could use in France or Italy, right? For people that want a change of change of scenery and things of that nature. So, and that can include publishers, blogs, websites, apps, obviously social media networks in Asia and the West, different search engines to do search engine marketing, programmatic platforms, ad exchanges, and so on and so forth. Like, we really go deep with our media recommendations. The next point that we specifically at Jadewolf like to include in our strategy projects are luxury insights. That's what we call the do's and don'ts, right? All those tools, all those things that I mentioned before are obviously sound marketing strategy, digital marketing strategy, but you need to apply the luxury mindset on top of it, right? We had an episode 4, we talked about the anti-laws of marketing. Luxury insights, in our case, go a little bit into that direction. What kind of communication should you avoid? What kind of things should you never say to somebody that you want to say or sell a luxury product to? What kind of things need to be there? What kind of visual aesthetics you should aim for? It's a little bit like of a secret sauce, so to speak, that makes this not just a bare bones simple marketing project, but a luxury has it creates the luxury affinity. And then after all the pretty much creative and strategic tactical groundwork is laid in the strategy project, we include obviously a cost estimate, because we include a part, even if the client just wants to use the strategy project to do it in-house, we're also cool with that. Lots of times the client won't have the capabilities to do it in-house, and we try to mention that, but some clients are really eager on trying it out themselves first, so we're fine with that. But we always include a cost estimate for if we would implement everything, for a test campaign, it's 3 to 4 months, the content production, setting up the traffic channels, setting up the campaigns, measuring it and reporting back to the client, optimizing it, so that the client has in the strategy project also a really solid picture of at least our costs that would incur if he wants to, implement that with an outsourced vendor, like an agency like us. And we deliver those strategy projects using PowerPoint, a white paper format, and maybe there's also more modern tools to do it. Maybe you want to do it like as an online kind of like mini website if you really want to be fancy. But usually a PowerPoint or white paper format I think is enough if you want to present it to your C-suite, to your board, to your boss, whoever it might be. And then obviously we present that to the client in a meeting, in a conference call, and have it presented to anybody else that the client wants us to, like if there's other stakeholders in the organization. Yeah, and that sums it up. To just repeat again, it's KPI calculations, a step-by-step action plan, SMART goals, SWOT analysis, a market segment research, luxury buyer personas, solid content briefs, technology recommendations, media recommendations, luxury insights, a cost estimate for implementing everything, and the whole thing being documented as a PowerPoint or white paper. I think if you following that model, we'll have a solid strategy. And for us, a strategy is like our entry-level project. It's not too expensive, but obviously depending on the complexity and how many markets the client wants to involve and how many traffic channels, it can be larger or it can be smaller, but that usually is included. I hope you find that useful if you're a luxury marketer yourself. Next time you have to make a marketing plan for your whole year, Because as you can see, like the strategy project is a little bit more than a normal marketing plan, which just would include like line items and this costs that much, and we're going to that trade show and we're spending a little bit on a webinar here. So this goes a little bit more into the luxury intelligence kind of like theme. But it's really useful if you do it once. You don't have to do it like every month. You have to maybe do it once a year or every 2 years to kind of like, get a refresh on what's happening in the market. Okay, that's it for episode 6. Again, if you are a marketer or a business owner in aviation, hospitality, yachting, or tourism, and you want to attract, high net worth individuals, you have a luxury business, then by all means go to jadewolfmarketing.com/discovery. We offer a discovery session, which is $500. Which includes a lot of a light version of a lot of the things I just mentioned before. We look at your homepage, your social media. We come up with basic recommendations to try to like analyze together with you what your pain points are, where you want to grow, where you have opportunity and potential in the market. And if you end up becoming our client and buying a strategy project from us, those $500 roll over into the first invoice, meaning you don't really lose any money if you end up becoming our client. It's just a mechanism for us to weed out the people who are not serious, to be honest. And if you like this podcast, subscribe. We're now on every major podcasting platform out there. That includes Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Podcasts, you name it, we are everywhere. And we're very happy about that our podcast got accepted everywhere relatively quick and is nicely growing. We're also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we upload those episodes as well. Yeah, and we obviously also have a mailing list. If you go to our homepage and you want to have part of our monthly newsletter where we include the podcast episodes, book recommendations, and lots of other cool things, then by all means go to jadewolfmarketing.com. And the next week's episode, we're gonna start talking a little bit more about funnel building. What are some basic funnels that you can use? What is the basic setup of a funnel? We're not obviously going to give away all the secrets because there's a lot of different things you can do with funnel building to make it more effective. But I'm going to go through the basic steps of, again, traffic, content, email, follow-up, and social media to enhance the whole thing. I hope you will find the next episode interesting. Tune in next week, and I'll see you there. Have a good one.